How many of us are going to be able to look our grandchildren in the face if we don't stand up and fight here? Now, what I've learned over the years, after, you know, a few controversies in my life, is that I respect other people's opinions. An opinion is neither right nor wrong.
We have Corio Bay, our greatest natural asset. Now, we also have a wonderful bay for recreational activities, and they include sailing, boating, kayaking, but the one that has the most social and economic benefit of all is recreational fishing.
But where I reckon we've all gone wrong, and if you have a look at the shooters or you have a look at the people in Europe or the people in North America, they represent themselves. Now what I'm saying is this, hear me out, is if we pay licence money and that licence money goes to the government and the government pays our representatives, how on earth can we get a fair go? What I want to do is be able to pay my money to get an independent board of people representing me to go to the government without fear or favour. That's what I want to see.
The footage you are about to see exposes the methods used to commercially harvest fish from Corio Bay. These methods have nothing to do with fishing, but relate to the harvesting of fish on an industrial scale. This footage of haul seining was taken in Stingaree Bay, which lies between Point Henry and Limeburners Point. The approach involves the use of two boats, one large, one small, each equipped with motorized winches. The first line is anchored just offshore, while the operator of the larger boat drives out 2 kilometres or more, letting the line out as he goes. With the required amount of line out, a red flag is dropped over the side, followed by 460 metres of net. The net is deployed at an angle to the first flag. A second flag is then dropped overboard, followed by another line which is let out on the way back to shore. With each line secured, the first to one boat, the second to the other, the lines are winched in until the net is in the shallows, where the marketable fish can be separated from the unwanted bycatch. Naturally, with the fish in Corio Bay becoming scarcer year by year, not every shot, not even with a 460 metre net, is fruitful. Sometimes the majority of the catch is made up of seagrass uprooted from the bottom. Not a good look at all, especially when it's washed up onto our beaches and left to rot in the sun. But I've heard some say it's just like weeding the garden, or perhaps mowing the lawn, perhaps even composting. Anyway, what would we recreational fishermen know? On the other hand, should the net intercept a concentration of fish, and should this be during the day, our educated pelicans will soon arrive to feast on the bycatch bounty. However, should this be a nighttime operation, which is most often the case, the pelicans probably won't arrive until daybreak. Perhaps the saddest thing about commercial fish harvesting operations on Corio Bay is that they provide negligible benefit to the city of Geelong, except perhaps to our pelicans. The majority of the fish harvested from the bay are trucked off to markets in Melbourne, Sydney and elsewhere. The operators, by and large, are not from Geelong, but come down the highway from Melbourne's western suburbs and beyond. Some from as far away as the Mornington Peninsula and Western Port. And when you consider, by the Department of Primary Industry's own figures, And please forget that meaningless political E for environment that was recently added to the department's name. 70% of the fish commercially harvested from Port Phillip come from Corio Bay. And when you consider that Corio Bay is only 14.5% of the total area of Port Phillip, then you begin to get the picture. And my, what a sad, sad picture that is. Another important aspect to consider when comparing recreational fishing, which is carried out with baited fishing lines and with lures, with commercial fish harvesting, which is done with nets and does not require any cooperation on the part of the fish, the value to the state gross product favours recreational fishing by a factor of around 10 to 1. Should you want to speak about employment, recreational fishing generates more jobs per capita than any other recreational activity. On the other hand, employment generated by the commercial fish harvesting sector is negligible. And despite what some of our tame scientists are saying, the commercial harvest is far greater than that of the recreational fishing catch, something that an independent inquiry would reveal. But then, what would you expect when all fishing is managed by the Department of Primary Industry? Unlike commercial fish harvesting operations, which regard fish only in dollar terms, we recreational fishermen, as a whole, have great respect for the fish we catch. No, commercial harvesting of fish from Corio Bay has to stop. Our commercial fish harvesting operators seem immune from prosecution as they routinely spike unwanted fish and flip them back, while those more securely enmeshed are hammered into oblivion. With the removal of commercial fish harvesting operations, we will see our primary table fish like whiting, flathead and gars all back on the menu, along with snapper, gummy shark and perhaps a few others. Here we have a map of Corio Bay. The shaded areas represent the areas most heavily netted. These areas also represent the main seagrass areas. And you don't have to be a scientist to know that these are also the principal fish development areas where larval whiting and squid grow into juveniles before foraging farther afield. Sometimes the commercial fish harvesting bycatch overwhelms even the pelicans, and the evidence is washed ashore for all to see, like this discarded catch of undersized snapper at Clifton Springs. Of course, the bycatch is not always fish. The commercial operator who accidentally killed these penguins faces no penalty because it was, as stated, an accident. Yet if we recreational fishermen accidentally hooked a penguin from a public area, like a pier, rest assured we would face a steep penalty. Some years ago, we saw anglers banned from the St. Kilda breakwater because of the penguin colony there. Yet the banning of commercial fishing in this part of Port Phillip was not even considered. Even should there be few fish caught in the net, and the bycatch minimal, those all-important seagrass meadows over which our so-called environmentalists wax lyrical are still stripped bare with the consequences already described. And when you consider that the fish are becoming fewer, requiring more shots to fill the boxes, increased stripping of seagrass meadows becomes an even greater issue, both for the commercial operators and the marine environment. So on and on it goes. Commercial fish harvesting operators are free to work on Corio Bay with minimal scrutiny. They have no quotas, none whatsoever, and only have to report their catch once a month. It's an archaic system that began when commercial operators worked from their home ports in slow displacement boats. In those days, when I was a youngster, there were codes of practice where areas previously worked could be rested, something that can happen when there are communities of fishermen exclusively working their own areas. In the intervening years, we've seen commercial fishing communities fall by the wayside as more and more it becomes open slather and opportunistic harvesting, not to mention the disregard that comes when a growing number of operators are competing for the diminishing remnants of a wild resource. Local fisheries management remains in the dark ages. They don't like to be reminded of that. Their response is for more reports, more science, more of this, more of that, when all that's needed is change. Change that is so long overdue, one wonders what improprieties are behind protection of the status quo. I'm sure you good people know what I mean without me having to spell it out. I know this is going to be an issue for our pelicans that will now have to earn an honest living, but there will always be winners and losers. Let's talk about mesh netting. This method employs fixed curtains of mesh, often well in excess of 1 kilometre in length. While these nets are not dragged across the bottom, they are frequently left overnight in locations where the catch is ruined by sea lice and predatory fish, which themselves sometimes become ensnared. On occasion, nets become snagged and have to be cut free. That doesn't mean they are no longer active. No, they still keep on catching fish. Another problem with mesh nets is that they are frequently poorly marked and pose a navigational hazard for recreational fishermen and other bay users. This is particularly so at night, when recreational fishermen seeking large snapper and other species are abroad. Now, Corio Bay used to be described as a fish nursery, and later a fish development area where recreational fishermen were urged to limit their catch and not catch their limit. The signs are probably still along the highway.
Oh, it's a net.
Oh, it is a net. Lucky we didn't get that in the prop. So in close to the Royal Geelong Yacht Club. We've nearly hit a netter's mark, which is just in the water there. You can see the trailing rope nearly fouled it in the prop. And some more evidence of some commercial netting occurring in the inner harbour of Corio Bay.
What about our commercial fish harvesting operators? They have no limits. Time and time again we see recreational fishermen being blamed for taking the majority of fish. Well, I suppose if you hire an aeroplane and fly over the bay counting the boats, then apportioning them with whatever catch figure might be dreamt up by somebody working for an agency of government, then you can come up with whatever figure the ideology of the day dictates. Don't laugh, because that's just what happens, and will continue to happen until we have our own body of management and not the Department of Primary Industry running recreational fishing with or without their token introduction of that political E for environment.
Well, g'day buddy, how'd you go with your survey?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. They asked all questions that you'd expect them to ask, and I just told them how it was. That us recreation fishermen are just sick to death of everyone out there and allowing them to net the bay.
Yeah, good on you, buddy.
Why should we be paying a fishing licence to go out and catch stuff all when these fellas go and net all the fish on us?
So you didn't catch much today?
No, look, we got a couple of keeper flatties and we threw 3 back.
Rightio.
And normally on a day like today, we should be bagging out.
Yeah, they've been around a lot lately, so let's hope common sense prevails and this stops. So
yeah.
Thanks for your help, mate.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all.
Good evening. It is 6:30 Sunday evening, the 14th of April. We've just popped down a line burner's boat ramp just to question a couple of people who have been fishing today. We've got with us today, what's your name, sorry?
Tony.
Tony. G'day Tony. You've just come back from being on the water. How long were you out there today?
Been out since 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock this afternoon.
No.
Now you mentioned you saw a lot of netters out there. Is that what you're
They were. About 2 hours ago, 2 boats come from Point Henry.
Oh yes.
One come towards close to the shore here. The other one comes behind us. Then they were gone for about half an hour. Then they started coming back and then they went just past us, about 200 yards from here to the fence. And we've seen them slowly just dropping lines in from the back. When they got close to us, we've seen that they were dropping nets in. Then they went right down 200 or 300 yards past us. Then they started pulling it. Then they left it and gone. There's no markers out there, there's no nothing.
Okay, we're just about to go out ourselves and have a look around and see what's out there tonight. You were warning us that there was nets just out the front of the boat ramp here?
Yeah, there was, just outside.
Okay, we've just noticed a pro boat's just come in behind us here. There's only two cars in the car park. He's just come in at the moment, so what they do is they'll drop their mesh nets overnight and come back early in the morning and pick them up, so they can be left unattended. But Tony, thanks for your warning today, and it's been interesting talking to you. Thanks very much.
All right, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, we're just sitting here at the Pelican Shores Caravan Park. We've been invited just to come down and have a chat with some of the local residents that live down here. We're just going to discuss what they've seen and how long they've been here, and just to explain a bit more what actually happens out here along this Coolors bank. We've got Hoppy here today. We've got Bob and John. Guys, how long have you guys been living here? Can you explain what you've seen along this coast?
Well, Bob's been the longest. I've been here coming on 8 years now. And over the 8 years that I've been here now, I've seen this place here, the netters after netters after netters. But I didn't really think it was that bad until the 8 years, as I've said, until I've been here. They start from the Alcoa pier and they leapfrog each other.
Yeah.
One will come, next one will come, next one will come, next one will come. And as we were discussing before, that it's like a race to see who can get to the end the quickest. What they're getting, I don't know, but they just seem to keep coming back, and as the saying is around here, we call it rape and pillaging.
Yeah, you've probably seen quite a bit, especially just on a balcony sitting back of the day, and we know they net this area quite a lot. They're mainly chasing the whiting and I suppose the calamari, using the haul seining methods. And
that's what they're mainly chasing, but don't matter if there's fish in their size, they'll take whatever they put in the nets, you know.
yeah.
And this is why the undersized ones and that, and you'll see the pelicans over here. Sometimes there's 60 pelicans sitting on the pier over here.
Yeah.
And they just, when they're throwing them back, they get all the undersized ones.
Yeah, we've got some footage along this area here where pelicans are just eating for about half an hour after they finish.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's a feeding frenzy, and the questions need to be asked. I mean, what are they eating? Are they must be eating the juvenile fish that really don't get a chance to grow.
Well, they are, but you'll see too, the day after they've netted, during the night they've netted it, and the water's been too deep for the pelicans to pick them up. They'll go back next morning, you'll see the pelicans waiting for the tide to go out to get to them, pick them up.
Pick up the dead fish off the bottom. And that's why we don't get any bycatch along here, because the pelicans are the biggest garbage guts around.
How often do you see these guys netting this area?
I kept a diary from in 2012-13. I averaged it out. It was 1.2 nets shot out here over a 7-kilometre area in 12 months.
Every day.
That's
every day.
Every day. One net per day over 7 k's for the 12 months that averaged out to. The worst we ever saw was 6 netting boats here at once. One night.
6 boats in one night.
Over 7 k's.
I mean, most of the netting's done at night time, would you say?
Well, they get here about any time, or they can come down from 1 o'clock, or they can come down. Some of them net early in the morning, but most of them will. Around 3 o'clock, you'll see them coming over from Avalon over there.
In the afternoon?
In the afternoon, yeah.
And that's when they start their shots all along this coastline and continue on all the way to Clifton Springs?
I'll go right up to Clifton Springs,
But my diary goes from Alcoa to the Sands Caravan Park, and that's roughly 7k waterfront. That's how much they attack it. And we've seen, 5 and 6 many a time. And some of them will not only shoot just the once, they'll shoot twice.
A couple of times.
So you might have 6 boats, but there would have been 8 nets shot over 7k, which means they've virtually cleaned everything out.
As I say, I've been here 33 years, and the way it's going, you won't be catching any fish if they keep netting it like they do. And of course, with opposing Western Port,
that's right, they've closed.
You've got all these more boats, and 80% of them come from Melbourne.
80% of the boats do come from Melbourne. We know there's only, there were 42 commercial netters in licences in Port Phillip Bay.
42?
42. There is only 8 local licences along in Geelong. The rest do come from Melbourne. Most of the time they launch off Avalon.
Avalon.
Avalon, you'll see them coming across, you'll see them
coming across there.
You can be sitting there 3 o'clock and you'll see them starting to come across there.
Especially if you've got the southwesterly wind, because they can come right in.
That's right.
A lot of people, have had boats for 10, 20 years. They're all talking about selling them.
Get rid of them.
Why spend all this money on insurances and life jackets and everything like this, bait, fuel, and you go out and you get 1, 2.
Just like to start off by saying, my name's John Irvine. I've been involved with Friends of Corio Bay now for about 15 months, and I was saying before that I knew very little and probably don't know a lot more about fishing, but people saw me and said, look, what are you going to do about commercial fishing, or commercial netting I should say in particular? we said let's have a public meeting, and that meeting we had about 300 people show up. We had a follow-up meeting that Rex Hunt attended, and we had about 400 show up. And then again tonight we've asked for another public meeting. This meeting's all about supporting our efforts in getting rid of commercial netting, and we talked about netting in Corio Bay, in and out of harbour.
I grew up as a kid in the Snowy Mountains, and we used to always go to Sydney and fish in Botany Bay. And Botany Bay, it was a hard place to catch fish because it was very, very heavily netted. They dragged the bottom a lot for prawns and stuff, and you could go there after a big easterly blow, and all on the shoreline there'd be juvenile dead fish everywhere. They banned the netting, and now that fishery is on Australia's largest city, and it provides some absolutely amazing fishing for people every single day of the week. And while we have great fishing here in Port Phillip Bay, it has the potential to be absolutely amazing. We've already got people from other states wanting to come and fish in Victoria, which I never thought would actually happen. But they do, because our whiting fishing in Western Port's so good. How good could it be in Port Phillip Bay?
20 hours a year, when we had 3 or 4, about a month ago, beautiful days. Beautiful day.
Yep.
I seen the bottom.
Yep.
Jeff Wilson got up before and talked about dragging nets.
Yep.
It was like a plough, a ploughed bloody paddock.
Yep.
I seen dead whiting.
Give him the microphone.
Yeah. I seen dead whiting, mate. You know,
it says here that 400 tonnes on average comes out of Port Phillip Bay by commercial fishermen. That means if 70% of the catch comes out of Corio Bay, on average, according to this, 300 tonnes comes out of Corio Bay every year. And you ask yourselves your frustrations the last 5 to 10 years. Do you think recreational fishermen catch more than the commercial fishermen? Do we catch 300 tonnes every year? Do we? We can barely get a bag limit. We can barely get a bite. Our frustrations have caused this campaign. We didn't start it. The commercial netters started it because Corio Bay and Geelong deserve better. We deserve better.
Parliament House and you lead the 6 o'clock news. And that's what you do, because you then say enough's enough. But then you've got to actually dip your hand into your pocket. One thing concerns me. All I can do is give an opinion. An opinion is neither right nor wrong. I cannot understand when I reached 60 years of age 5 years ago next week that I then wasn't required to pay a fishing licence. What sort of an organisation is this? We only have 300,000 people who pay because kids under 16, naturally enough, should be free, and seniors over 60, they don't pay at all. I think everyone should have to pay, and the kids under 16 should get their licence, give them a bit of responsibility, and they become the shareholders in our fishery. But this, and one thing is that personally at 65 years of age I'm stuck, because the hardest thing I'm going to do tonight is try to remember where I live. But I can tell you now, if you're looking to make friends of this, don't come to the rally. There's going to be shit, and I tell you what, it's going to be like war. But if you all band together, you can do it. And for those who don't follow football, there was a great man called John Kennedy. And during the 1971 grand final, Hawthorn were in all sorts of trouble at St Kilda, and he said, don't think, don't hope, do something.
The reasons that we've got to stop this are purely economical and social. And when I say that, social, who wants to go out with their mates in their $40,000, $50,000 boat, and they've paid thousands of dollars for their campsite and their four-wheel drive to tow it, and you get out there and the place has been raped for the last 2 weeks, and there's no fish there for the next 3. Who wants to spend that sort of money on their favourite pastime or their hobby? You want to get out there and enjoy it with your mates, and they're the social reasons why netting needs to stop. The economics, I just said how much money people spend on their boats, and I tell you what, it's getting better, because boats get more expensive. Those 4-strokes, they may be good on fuel, but the fuel price is up through the roof, and the motors cost a lot of money, and you need a new trailer every 7 or 8 years. It is an expensive hobby. I'd hate to put a dollar value on the dollar per kilo of fish that I catch, because it's a damn expensive hobby. And that's the reason that economics We put a lot of money into this economy, whether it's a boat builder, whether it's a trailer manufacturer, whether it's the bloke down the service station selling a fuel, but he also sells us a bottle of water and some sandwiches and so forth. The economics of recreational fishing by far outweighs what is going on with commercial netting. It's time to stop.